Welcome back, everyone, to Ask Miss Bell. My name is Jeanabel. This is part one to my story. My two videos that I recently did had to clip them because I did not meet the duration requirements. But I hope you guys enjoy. Part two will be at the end of the video, and we're going back to the video now, okay? Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Miss Bell. My name is Jeanabel, and today we're going to touch on my story. But just a little background if you're new to my channel and you're just joining us now. This is probably my third video that I'm recording. We're going to be talking a little bit of more of an introduction of me, more about my background, so you guys get to know me a bit. But this is what kind of like I wanted to start my videos on, more of an introduction. There's going to be a lot to talk about, things you guys probably are going to want me to go more in depth, but in order to kind of keep the duration of these videos manageable, because I could really go on and I probably have stories for days, I want to really focus on the specific topics I have at hand and plan. So today we're going to talk about my current situation and a story about my corporate, me leaving my 9-to-5, taking a sabbatical and taking a break, and what has that looked like for me. But also just a little background of myself on how I got where up to the point I have with my career and what led me to that, even growing up. I want this channel to serve for everyone and all ages, because at this point, you know, I'm a true believer that life has its pivot moments and transitions, and things that we connect with change over time. And it's always nice to see an example of how someone changes, or just to have someone we can relate to. And I really hope you guys can find that within me as well. Because I think a lot of times when we actually are able to have one-on-ones or conversations with people, we'll see how much we can really see ourselves through people's seasons in life or stories. So it's why I want to expose some of that, of what I went through. And you know, to go back into the focus of this channel, my channel is going to be about finance and and I'm a transformational life coach as well. So I'm focusing on both intertwined, because I do feel that your finances are usually affected through your seasons. And I want to be able to help everyone who is going through any change in their life know that there are planning stages involved with that. And that's something I've been able to get with my background as well. Working in finance and corporate finance has definitely spilled over my personal life. And I don't come from a very wealthy family, so a lot of things I've had to really learn on my own and go through the ebbs and flows of the changes in life and how that's looked like without having the actual financial literacy, starting from young, no inheritance, no nothing to really start me up, but me figuring it out as I went. Grateful for my career, because I've been doing finance, accounting specifically, you know, got up to being a controller of a company. So I've been working in this area, and just the things I've learned in corporate and how to manage business has definitely spilled over my personal life, and how it's helped me and assisted me, and it has been a great tool to get me in and out these seasons I've had and setbacks I've had in my life. So I definitely want to share all that, and I know it's going to be really relatable to a lot of you. So get into a little bit of my story. You know, as I was saying, I don't come from a wealthy background. You know, my dad, he passed away in 2016. That was a big pivotal time for me in my life, where there was a lot of learning about what death looks like. So if a lot of you don't have parents who have planned for that time, you're gonna get hit with a lot of expenses. So that's gonna be a topic for another day, but that's definitely been a big lesson for me. I also have a mom who has dementia. So what life has looked like for her medically, and how that's kind of affected me and my siblings as well financially, in terms of her care and making sure she's got, you know, the assistance she needs, because, you know, it's full-blown Alzheimer's, and, you know, the little time we have left with her, we want to make sure she's comfortable and well. But I didn't have very educated parents. My mom made it to high school. My dad made it to like 6th grade. He was illiterate, you know, didn't read or write. And yet my father strived, created his own American dream somehow, strived, had his own business. And it was more of a spiritual, holistic business, very typical in our community. And it's what he used to assist in our life, right? It was the best thing he had, and he jumped on it, and he started his business. And he put us through Catholic school. Me and my sisters went to private school for most of our years. I eventually had to transfer to public schools when my parents did divorce, which they did end up divorcing. You know, my parents didn't have such a stable relationship when married. So, you know, things that led up to their divorce, there was some DV involved. And in a period of our life, we did live in a shelter for battered women. So I share this because there is no evidence that I've had actually lived that life. And I think it's important for people to know that usually when you go through hard things and difficult things, you have kind of a choice. And my choice thank God my dad, you know, I'm so grateful for him despite of all the things, because you're gonna get lots of comments behind that. But I learned a lot of healing with my parents, and my parents obviously healed that relationship even after divorce. So I have a great story for that as well. But I'm not gonna use this episode to talk about that. We can talk about that on another time, because that's really not what the channel is about. But I am definitely open to sharing. But despite of everything they've gone through as a husband and wife, it never spilled over as kids. We never had to deal with any setbacks in that sense of transitioning when they got divorced. We always had both our parents. It was still a healthy transition to a certain extent. And I always loved both my parents because forgiveness came after that, and like both of them changed their lives, which really is a beautiful thing to see. So growing up was just not easy. I don't come with this wonderful story of my life was great and things were so easy and they were stacked up for me. That's not how it happened. But what I want to say is, you have a choice as a child, and I think this is what my family introduced us to. My parents introduced us kids as in options. You have an option to rebel positively or an option to rebel negatively. And I chose positively, and thank God for the education I had too. Like, he helped us go into private school. We just had really good education, and we really were really good girls. So we're 4 girls all together. I'm the 3rd one. And so we all were really good girls. So my energy always applied it in a very positive way. And anything I did was always very positive, very lighthearted. And so I took that energy and I transmuted my life, not knowing at the time that's what I was doing, which is extremely interesting how my mind was back then. Especially this was really during elementary, middle school, and once I entered high school, it was like a very decided factor. I also knew I was going to be in finance. I knew that from the beginning. One thing I always loved was, as a little girl, I would always play with paper and a purse, and somehow I had a luggage and a suitcase, and business was always a thing. And I think I also just cut that from my dad because he was in business, and I just loved the fact that, you know, it was kind of an entrepreneur mindset where I admired him to be able to accomplish even what he did with the, you know, even being illiterate, you know, a man who didn't learn, you know, writing or reading English. He did the best he could, right? And yet accomplished so much in that period of his life. So I always respected that. But that translated into me going into finance as well. I always was great in math, best student in my math classes, enjoyed math very much, very analytical. I think that's just also what came with, hey, if you want to dive into trauma, it associated into like kind of how I was relating to real life. I pretty much had to grow up very quickly. The other side I haven't mentioned is my mom never knew English. So English, she always spoke in Spanish. And so, I was a translator from young, and to this day, I mean, she no longer communicates anymore, obviously with her Alzheimer's, but she never really officially learned English, which also just showed her perseverance and stuff, and how she got around and all this in life, which I admire a lot in terms of how I feel about my mom and everything she's went through. But all these obstacles, have taught me so much, and they set up a foundation for us. And it was almost like, here it goes. What are you going to do with this? And for me, my experience, I can't speak for my sisters, but at least my experience, I view it as an opportunity, given the opportunities that my parents had given me in terms of the experiences I've had growing up in the schools and everything. So I went into finance. I knew what to do in college. I went to a SUNY school, State University, and I graduated, did my 4 years with a bachelor's in accounting. I went straight into corporate. I've done so many industries at this point. I have 20 plus years again, and I've done, I started immediately in airlines. Can't really say which one. I won't say a lot of I'll tell everyone the industries, I just won't name the companies I work for. But I worked in airline industry for a while, and that was my starting. It was like right after 9/11, a few years after that, and it wasn't the easiest. So starting up career back then was pretty difficult. And so I did that. I worked at airlines, but transferred then to wholesale retail, like salon beauty. Then I moved into advertising. Then I moved into commodities, a trade, import, export of cocoa and coffee beans. Then I moved into, I did temporary for more advertising. And then I did publishing, ebook publishing. I've done healthcare industry. I've done other retail, e-commerce, and then back to beauty. So my entire career made it to be controller. I basically went up the corporate ladder. It took me quite a few years to do that. Now, it was not easy. I had to learn a lot of skills throughout. I was the kind of person who would literally take all responsibilities, like starting especially in the commodities. When I worked in the commodities company, I was there for 6 years. I did everything there. I did a lot of the AP, AR, closing of the books, and I definitely gained a lot of skills there. I did more than what I was supposed to do. I was the kind of person who didn't care to do more. I wanted to go above and beyond because I actually saw that more as an investment to myself, but with the low expectation. Advice to those who are in corporate and are looking to get up there. I think the youth has a little bit of a different work ethic, and probably navigating that space is not the easiest in terms of how to figure out where we want to go. I do feel the younger crowd, younger generation has a hard time adapting to the hard work ethic. And I see nothing wrong with the work ethic. I mean, in terms of where we are and how we incorporate and want work and life balance to look like, I think it empowered us all to change and to finally have a voice as an employee.